All right, all right.
Yeah.
Welcome, Raiders. Welcome, everybody, to the first edition, the first installment of the Record Breaking Podcast, brought to you by Nico Blitz. This is a documentary of some of the best DJs on Twitch, man. And, just like everybody else on Twitch, we are just here to find a way and continue to push the culture in any way possible. My first guest, I thought about this so hard, and I definitely needed this guy to be my first guest. We're gonna go about the story about how we met each other, like literally maybe a year or two ago. But just to put this resume down, Snapback Live, Beat Junkies, Los Angeles' own DJ Icy Ice. What is good, my guy?
Man, it's all good. Nico, how you doing, man?
I'm doing amazing, man. And truthfully, like a couple reasons as to why I needed you to be my first guest, man. One, obviously we share the Filipino lineage, so I'm like, yo, like I definitely need Icy Ice to like represent for our people right now.
No doubt. No doubt.
Two, we know each other in real life, but
Yes.
three, like the legacy that you've just left and that you're continuing to grow on DJ culture is just it's just so noteworthy, and I need your story to be out there, man, because there are a lot of people who probably hopped on Twitch and they're just like, "Yo, who is this DJ Icy Ice guy?" And they can appreciate the turntablism, they can understand how long you've been in the game, and you just seemed so right to be the perfect first guest.
Oh man. I appreciate that. It's an honor. Thanks, Nico.
All love, man. All love. So Ice, we actually met, I don't know, like a year or two ago. Do you want to go over that story?
Well, long story short, basically our girl Roslyn, Mixed TV, Mixed Global, she's been putting together events for the Clippers. I know a lot of people always say, "Oh, why are you doing stuff with the Clippers?" I'm like, it's because the Lakers don't do anything like this. They don't do Filipino culture nights, Filipino heritage nights at an actual NBA basketball game. The Clippers allow us to do that, and Rosalind has been very instrumental in doing these games and doing these live performances and bringing in like the best of the best within our Filipino heritage and our community to come together for one night and celebrate Philippine heritage and celebrate our talents and everything. But yeah, long story short, Rosalind brought us together. We played. I believe we played on opposite teams. At
I
least
think
I
we
know we
did.
played on opposite teams the last time. But the first time, was it also opposite teams, or were we on the same team?
I think I only played the first time, but we were definitely on opposite teams.
Okay, so the funny thing that Rosalind did was she put all you young cats on one team, and then she put all us OGs like me, Dante Bosco, E-Man, and a whole bunch of the elder statesmen in the community to play on one team. And
And then,
man, you guys
bro,
just ran us out the gym.
well then,
You
bro,
guys ran us out the Staples Center.
I think on my side we had Pilo, we had
You had
Romeo
Pilo.
Reyes, we had
Uh huh.
myself. So I was looking at it, I'm like, damn, Roz, like I wish you evened up this lineup just a little bit because I'm not even gonna front, we won by a lot.
You won by a lot, man. And I think it's mainly because we got tired.
Oh man. I'm
you
not even gonna
guys,
lie.
you guys were just running and gunning, and like, I mean, come on, man. Like, number one, we are all older, and then to top it all off, you got guys that were hockey players that were not even playing NBA, and they're just huffing and puffing going up the court.
That's what I'm
it
saying,
was,
bro.
it
Like
was,
Pilo
uh,
play,
it was funny.
bro.
It
It was
was
like
funny.
Pilo played basketball in high school. I know that for sure. I think we also had Anthony on our team too, and I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure he played
yeah,
basketball. And I'm like, oh my god, like I don't know
yeah,
if you knew, but I was also huffing and puffing because that was the first basketball game I played in like 3 4 years.
yeah.
And
And
then I
see,
didn't
like,
even realize how big an NBA basketball court really is up until that
yeah,
point.
the NBA basketball court is so much bigger than an average park or regular gym, man. So Man, us short Filipinos, man, we were just huffing and puffing, going up and down that court, man. It was too much.
But Ice, like I think the one good thing that really occurred to me that night, because that was the first time I had met you and like so many other prominent Filipino entertainers, and that was literally just it. Like, wow, there are so many of us in here making an impact in the industry, and people just don't know it.
Yeah, yeah, that's the truth right there. Yeah, we covered all kinds of ground, everyone from radio to record labels to artists to producers to just everybody across the board, all the way up to the Boscos who are actors and
Mm.
actual actors. The brothers are actors, and it's like a good coalition of us that are all in the entertainment industry. And Rosalind brought us all together. We all played that little celebrity game, and that was just fun. But yeah, you guys whipped our asses.
So look, I don't want to talk about the game for another 5 minutes or anything, but like
Okay, all right.
as I was saying, like this record breaking podcast, man, like I really wanted to document the life of a DJ, and you being one of the OGs of this craft. I want to know from like beginning to now the life of DJ Icy Ice. So, born and raised in Los Angeles?
Born and raised Los Angeles, but specifically Carson, California, in Los Angeles, within LA. It's a city that sits right in between Long Beach and Compton, and yeah, man, one of the biggest hubs of Filipinos here in Southern California, as well as Daly City up in the Bay, as well as National City down in San Diego.
Oh, see, I didn't even know National City had like its own little Filipino town.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, National City. Those three cities that I named off are like the biggest hubs of Filipinos up and down the West Coast, or at least the biggest hubs of Filipinos. So I
Man,
grew up in one of those cities.
shout out to Carson. Shout out to Good Morning Gabe too. He was, he's over in Carson, I believe.
Yeah.
But how do you get into DJing? How do you get involved?
Man, it just started as a hobby. It was something that I saw like friends, brothers, older brothers DJing. I would turn on the radio and I would hear the K-Day Mix Masters DJing, and it just blew my mind because the K-Day Mix Masters were pretty much like the Beat Junkies crew, all on radio, all on the same
Mm.
station, all rocking every Friday and Saturday night. So yeah, like those influences of being able to hear that those DJs, grow up in a town where hip hop was very prevalent. I walk to school, I see graffiti on the walls.
Mm.
I'm in the bus, I see graffiti art, whatever, all tagged up in the, and then like it was very common for MCs to be busting freestyles with guys just banging on a table or even beatboxing at lunchtime. And so like the DJing aspect came into my life because yes, I saw the older brothers, I saw friends of friends, older cousins, and I heard it on the radio. But my junior high dances that I would attend over there in Carson, man, you had the best of the best DJing at my schools at that time. It was crazy because these are the same guys that you hear on the radio. You'd see them performing right there, and then they had their own record deal, and they were giving out their own records at the school dance. So it was just crazy. It was crazy. But yeah, that all influenced me to get into this art form we call DJing. Started real young, and yeah, man, it took off from there.
Do you remember the first DJ that you witnessed at your junior high for your
Well,
dances?
that the very first DJ I witnessed was a group called Unique Technique. So they're a group of Filipinos. Also, they're kind of like your equivalent of Spintronics up in the Bay Area, or
Okay.
SBC, those type of DJs. So those guys were just putting it down with the big sound and lighting systems. The whole stage is covered with lighting truss and all that, lights in your fog, all of that stuff, right? So
Yeah.
those were the first DJs I saw, but the guys that I saw that were actually cutting it up and doing turntablism and just killing it was the legendary DJ Joe Cooley, who was of Rodney owned Joe Cooley, and he DJ'd at my dance. He was passing out his own records at my dance, and from that moment I saw him, that was it. I was like, yo, I got to become a DJ. Seeing that, seeing what he was doing, just mesmerizing that crowd with the music he was playing, and then making everybody go ooh and ah just off of moving that record back and forth, or doing a record, like doing spins behind their back and things between their leg, all that, man. It was just crazy with the things I was seeing. So that all inspired me to become a DJ.
So then, what was your next step? How long before you actually got your first pair of turntables?
Well, so after seeing that, it was just within weeks. I was like telling my dad, begging my dad, but then my dad was not one to spoil me. Of course, we didn't have the financial means. We were, my parents are immigrants from the Philippines. They were working their jobs and stuff like that, so they made me work. They made me work for my first pair pieces of equipment, and I didn't even get two turntables and a mixer right in the beginning. I worked for one turntable, just one. And then I had that hooked up to my radio that you see up here at the very top. That's why that's displayed up there. I just had it up there, and then I would just do my volume control like that. But so I was getting into DJing. My neighbor was getting into DJing, and we made a deal. He went and cut lawns with his dad, and they had their gardening business. I went and did chores and different things, and I went and cleaned out apartments and things like that with my dad to earn enough money to get my first turntable. He got one, and then our other homie already had one of those cheap Radio Shack mixers, and
Mm.
so we kind of formed like Voltron. We formed like Voltron, and that was it. It would just go rotate from one house to the other, but every time it got to my house, every time it was my turn to have the equipment, I made sure that it stayed at my house. I
Oh, so
made
then,
sure I had it the longest.
so then, basically, you guys would just move around the equipment as a tandem.
Yeah.
Yo, that is so crazy. It's
And
funny to
then
think. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh no, go well. And then in addition to that, of course, back then we didn't have Serato. We didn't have a computer with a whole, thousands of songs already. You had to go to a record store and buy every record, and every record was at least $4.99, $5.99, $6.99, and then albums, $9.99, $10, whatever. And so I would save lunch money. Same thing. We would just starve ourselves and just eat off of our friends' plates in order to save enough money for the week and take that money and go buy one record at the record store.
Yes.
That's how we did it, man.
He said, "Man, I'm eating cup of noodles for an entire month just to get these records." Do you
I was
remember?
just stuffing whatever bar that my mom would have there at the at home, or just any kind of snacks, and then I would just pick off of my girlfriend's plate, or I would pick off whoever's plate, the homie's plate there.
Do you remember the first record that you bought?
Oh man. Very first record I bought was, and I bought it because this was the equivalent of a Kubert scratch record back in the day. It was Al Nafish, It's Time. So that, along with Run DMC and Shaka Khan, those were the first three records I bought.
And
And
Shaka Khan.
Shaka
Sheesh.
Khan, I feel for you. So bought those records, and yeah,
That
that's
sounds.
how I started off. But yeah, endlessly every morning, every night. It's time. It's time. And my parents were like, "What the hell is this? This noise."
Yo, that's so
They're like, "I'm
crazy.
tired of hearing this time. It's no more time. Go to sleep."
Well, the only
But
reason
of
why I
course, in a
asked,
Filipino accent, "Go to sleep. Go
go
to
to
sleep."
sleep. Go to sleep now, huh? Bro, that's so funny because it's like I don't know how you're supposed to hide from your parents that you're like DJing. Were you DJing like what downstairs in the garage or in your room?
Not even downstairs. We only had a one
Oh,
story house, real small. My room was next to my parents' room, so yeah, they heard everything. They
oh my
heard they heard when I was practicing. They heard when I was just playing music. They heard it all.
I
They
said,
they
"Hoy,
always heard
anak,
me.
anak, you sound like shit."
Pretty much.
So, the only reason why I ask those two questions specifically to you is because I feel like me and my generation of DJs, we grew up a little bit more spoiled because we can literally rip a YouTube audio link, rip a SoundCloud link, and boom, we didn't have to go to the record stores and carry nearly even a quarter of all those records that you have in the back right now.
Yeah, no, like I display this proudly, and I still have racks of these in my garage, overtaking half my garage. So yeah, like yeah, this is all a part of me, all of
Mm.
this, because I worked hard for this stuff. But of course, once you got into radio, then it was easier. But leading up to radio, before all of that, like yeah, man, it was everybody pooling their money together, everybody trying to use up whatever resources they can to buy up those records. And like when we really got going into DJing gigs, you had to have all kinds of music, right? Like in
Mhm.
Serato, you have to have all different types of genres. So, I mean, we weren't just buying hip hop, we're buying pop, we're buying uh, 80s new wave, 80s rock, 90s funk, soul, house, deep house, techno, whatever. All these different genres of music, and I mean, we're paying for it. We're paying money for all of those records. So, yeah, today's generation, it's so easy to just download and have your computer hard drive or share a hard drive with another homie. But yeah, going and physically buying all of these records one by one was not easy.
Well, that's why I respect people of your generation of DJs because I can't even imagine. I used to watch videos of like Grandmaster Flash, and I'm just like, yo, like he's not looking at a computer screen to make sure that he got the audio going. You really got to like listen and make sure
Hmm.
that you got the right spot in and you're mixing everything correctly. And I'm over here just like, bruh, I can't even imagine doing that nowadays because that's not even a skill anymore that a lot of DJs carry with them.
Right. Yeah. So like again, that was all just marking of a record. You just put stickers on your record, and then you would cue it back to that certain sticker point on your record, and yeah, that art is kind of lost now. I mean, like guys that love to juggle and guys that love to rock the beats and stuff. Yeah, they have their points, their record cue points, and they still do it that way. But the majority, everything is just waveforms, watching the waveforms.
Exactly. Do you remember how long before your first gig, after you bought your turntable, after you started just practicing with the homies?
It wasn't too long. I think it was within months because again, we had older brothers or other friends, older brothers that were DJing already, and so not long after we got our first pair, they brought us along to be roadies. So we would have to carry that equipment. We had to set up that equipment, and then we had to play like the whole beginning part while the party sucked. And then when the party got good, then those older brothers got on and they got on the turntables. But yeah, my first party sucked. It wasn't anything special, nothing crazy. It was just a house party, a little 16th birthday, and really not that many people dancing. But I was so in love with DJing. I was so in love with being able to just DJ and then have anybody around me. Even though all these kids were just running around and playing tag and doing whatever, they weren't even into the music or anything like that. But I didn't care. I was in my own zone. I was in my own world, and that was my first gig.
Now I
But
know
yeah,
you were like,
it was just within a month or two of getting my equipment though.
that's so quick, man. And I mean, like, I know you were like learning with the homies and whatnot, but did you have like a specific mentor, or were you really just? It's like, yo, this is literally just me while I'm practicing in my room, and I'm gonna figure it out by myself.
Yeah, early on it was just figuring it out by myself. I would listen to a DJ's mixtape and then rewind it, try and emulate that scratch, go back, emulate it over and over. I go back, listen to some of Dr. Dre's records, or I would listen to some of the DJs that had any kind of scratching in it, and then just kind of practice those cuts and kind of copy and emulate and make it my own. So once you could do it exactly like they can, then you add your own flair and your own flavor to it to make it your scratch. So that's what I would do, and that's how I learned. But it wasn't until later, until I met a lot of my brothers that I call the Beat Junkies now. Those were the guys that kind of mentored me and really taught me the real. But up until that point, the first few years, I was just learning on my own or just trying to figure it out with the homies.
So how did you get involved with Beat Junkies?
Well, before even the Beat Junkies, I was part of a crew called Legend Entertainment, and we were doing a lot of the clubs throughout LA. Specifically, we would do like certain bars, clubs, anything to help further, Filipino nightlife. Because Filipino
Mm,
nightlife, we were just stuck to doing little bars, little hall parties, or little hotel rooms, if even that. But yeah,
all the
we were
cruises.
like Legend, even United Kingdom before us. We were like the first ones to really take the Filipino scene into actual nightclubs.
Mm,
So that's hard to fathom for somebody that like living in today's day and age. But back then, man, it was either predominantly white, predominantly black, predominantly Latino. They got all the best nights of a nightclub, and then Filipinos and Asians, we just got the scraps and the leftovers. But yeah, we had to fight and work hard to break that mold, break that stereotype, and get in. But yeah, so being part of Legend, eventually making it up to a certain level with doing clubs, then the Beat Junkies came along, like after a few years of being part of Legend. And so Beat Junkies came about because we were all part of different crews. Each of the members, we were all part of different crews. But J Rock and Curse were the very first ones to come together,
mm.
and then they were always practicing. Repmatic was always in that mix, and then slowly but surely they just said, "Yo, let's form a whole new DJ crew. Let's form kind of like a super crew, if you will, of our own homies, and let's come together. Let's bring the best of the best from each of these crews, and let's form one crew." And that's how the Beat Junkies came about.
Jesus Christ. I mean, truthfully, I'm still stuck on the fact that you guys broke through clubs as like the first Filipinos really trying to like put it like make a club for Filipinos and also Asian Americans because truthfully now or well, pre-COVID, I feel like now it's nothing but Filipino and Asian clubs that I see at least.
Yeah, pre-COVID, our Filipino scene is very strong. You got
Yeah.
to hand it to our scene now. But you got to think back way back then. Yeah, we were just an afterthought. We were thought of as nerds or as people that didn't know what was up. They had this stereotype of what Asians were, and so when it came to clubs and all of that, like yeah, they didn't bother to give these clubs or even like good clubs to any Asian promoters at that time. But yeah, big ups to Spectrum before United Kingdom. So Spectrum was the very first one to break into clubs, United Kingdom, and then yeah, Legend. We were up in that mix as far as the first promoters that really brought the club scene to another level.
So then when did you notice that that new level actually began?
It was definitely in the 90s. The 80s, they were just breaking through. The early 90s, United Kingdom broke into a Hollywood club, which was right on Hollywood Boulevard. That was called Club Spice, which is not there anymore. And yeah, man, they broke the ground. They opened up the doors for Filipinos. They made it a cool thing for Filipinos to have a club. And then they were the 18 and over guys that were doing clubs, and then we were the all age. We were the all age promoters as Legend.
All
And then by the
age?
time we got into college, then they started doing like other clubs, and then we were doing 18 and over, and then 21 and over. Um, but yeah, man, it was a it was a hard struggle to break that barrier to open up the club scene for Asians. Period.
Yeah.
Same thing with radio. Same thing with everything. Everything that you see today. People had to break ground to get to these things that we have today.
Well, going back to the first conversation we had with, having all these Filipinos and seeing like Filipinos are on radio, Filipinos are behind BPM Supreme, Filipinos are behind A, B, and C. This conversation alone, the fact that you guys had to break into the clubs, I had no clue about. And it's something that didn't even occur to me that that's something that our people really had to do. And
Yeah.
it's so crazy to know that now it's like, as I was saying, pre COVID. A lot of Filipinos are in the clubs. A lot of Filipinos are running radio. A lot of Filipinos are running these DJ softwares and record pools that a lot of people use nowadays. And it's
Yeah.
like, I don't know what else to say, but that, like, I really appreciate the struggle that you guys had to go through, because I don't even think it's anything compared to what we have to go through as DJs right now.
Yeah, it's a different. There's levels to the struggle, but yeah, today's DJ has their own struggles that they have to deal with. But yeah, back then it was just a struggle for us to even be reputable enough to get into any kind of nightclub. I mean, a bar even, let alone a nightclub. So even you look at in the Bay Area, like all the mobile DJ crews, all there was a book written about this whole mobile scene up there in the Bay Area, and yeah, Spintronics, those groups, they laid the groundwork for the Bay Area scene to be able to break open. Likewise, down here in Southern California, like Spectrum, United Kingdom, Legend, we all broke that whole barrier. So then the Filipino nightlife, Asian nightlife, can really flourish down here.
So, forming your super crew with Beat Junkies and whatnot, did it ever occur, like, obviously with Northern California and Southern California always having this connection but also disconnection, like, is there any connection between Northern and Southern California during that time amongst Filipino DJs?
So okay, so Spectrum, like I was telling you, they were doing the biggest parties down here, up there in the Bay. The promoter that pretty much predates Spintronics and everybody else was Imagine Productions, and
Mm,
so those two tried to come together and do some parties, but it never really came together until the '90s, and
mm.
then it wasn't until Legend, we were all college age and all of that. Yeah, we had a chapter in San Diego, and so it was always Southern California, and then we connected with Infinity, which is up there in the Bay Area, which later became, um, well, you know him now as the Lumpia chef, but Alex Ritoto, he was the
Ah,
man behind us doing Northern California Legend parties as well. So he was the first to open the door and unite both North and South together up there in the Bay. So yeah,
there we
props
go.
to Alex Ritoto, Mr. Lumpia chef.
That's that unity that I like to see, man. I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. So when Beat Junkies is together and whatnot, what was the goal at the time? Was it just to be like the best DJs anybody could see, or was it to? I mean, I know DJ Rose is somebody who was like your Padawan, basically. But like, what was the initial goal for you guys at that time?
So to give you context of that time and that period, of course, we were all brand new. The Junkies we had formed down here in Southern California, up there in the Bay. Mix Master Mike, Qbert, they were all forming their crew up there, which was called the Invisible Scratch Pickles. In New York, the X-Men, aka the Executioners,
Mm,
they were forming their crew, and then much love to the Fifth Platoon, which was our other Filipino, kind of group and posse of DJs that were representing. Fifth Platoon was up there with, yeah, Neil Armstrong and all that, the whole crew. But in that time period, again, like the whole goal was just to be dope, just to put in practice, put in work to be really dope DJs. And then from that point, it was like, okay, can we win some competitions? So certain guys out of the crew were like competing. And so that happened. And of course, Q, all those guys, they won multiple world championships. Junkies, we won several championships. Fifth Platoon, they won several championships. So like everybody was representing. And then as we were progressing, then we were like, okay, what can we touch? What other areas? And so I'll just speak for the Beat Junkies specifically. The cool thing that made the Beat Junkies unique compared to all these other crews was that we were just diverse, fully diverse in a lot of different things. And when I mean diverse, we weren't just battle DJs, we weren't just scratch DJs, but we were actual producers.
Mm.
There was producers in the crew. There were guys that were already breaking into radio at that time, so we were on the radio. I was already doing clubs as Legend Entertainment, so we had our own nightclub scene, and you could just kind of see like we had our little unit, but within our unit, we can touch so many different things versus a lot of the other crews that were mainly focused on battling and production.
Mm. Okay. Multifaceted, the Beat Junkies, they were and still are,
Yeah, still are.
essentially. So, like, um, what as did you ever hop into radio at one point?
Yes, I did. So radio came into play for me around 97,
Sheesh,
96, 97. What's that?
I was 4 years old in '97.
Don't tell me that, man.
Oh man.
Yes. And so, okay, let's talk about it. Again, the same
About it,
struggles
man.
we had into getting into the nightclub scene. That's just nightclubs. Now we're talking radio. And
Talking about
we're talking about the number 2 market in all of the US. You know, New York being number 1, Los Angeles being number 2. Bay Area is within the top 10.
mhm.
And so, yeah, like to break into radio, that was a big deal because in that time we didn't have internet. We didn't have the only forms of media we had was TV and radio. And so you're not going to break music on TV. They weren't even thinking about, doing soundtracks and all of that stuff. Well, they had movie soundtracks and things like that. But I'm talking about like doing songs and commercials and the things that we have today. You didn't have that way back then. So being on radio, being on TV, that was a big deal. And so again, same thing. Certain racial groups dominated the radio. And it was only till someone broke in that we were able to one got in, then we all got in. Like we pulled in as many people as we could. And that's how it happened, man. So I'll just speak for down here in Southern California. E-Man was the very first Filipino to
Mhm.
make it on radio. He made it on Power 106. And fun fact, I even went with E-Man to his audition. The Baker Boys gave him a slot Christmas night, and the deal with that, man. That's a slot nobody wants to take, but okay, let's give that guy the slot and let him try out on that night when nobody's really at the radio station. And so yeah, I went with E-Man to Power 106, and I sat in on his audition for Power. And so he made it on Power. He was the very first Filipino. And then shortly after that, Julio G opened up the door for myself and a lot of the junkies over at
Mm.
92.3 The Beat. And that was my opening into radio. And so I was the second
Dang.
Filipino on Los Angeles radio.
I'm so happy because essentially we worked at the exact same station.
Yes. Except, yeah, I was 92.3 The Beat. You're the real 92.3 now.
You know how you know how many times busting my ass doing promotions and whatnot, people would still come up to me and be like, 92.3 the beat. I'm like, real 92.3 now. 92.3 the beat was the old station. I believe it was it an old school hip hop station?
No, we were the hip hop R&B station in Los Angeles,
Mm,
and Power 106 was where hip hop lives. And
got you, got
so it was a battle between our two stations all the time. We were always going head to head, and then that was the fun rivalry. Me and E-Man were best of friends, yet we were on opposite stations, always battling it out at functions, at clubs, wherever, friendship games, all of that, man. We were always battling it out wherever we were at. But we were best of friends, man, and we rocked a lot of the same clubs together.
He said friendship games. I'm so dead. At any point did it become like I guess really competitive? Like at one point, did you really want to like show him out during a gig?
Nah, nothing like that. Because
Mm.
E-Man was already legendary, being the first radio guy here in Los Angeles. So no, it was always love, and he always, like his first nightclubs he did was Legend clubs, and so he
Mm.
always gave us love, and it was always that mutual love and respect with each other. Now, when we were working with our own stations and we were at the same event, then yeah, our stations wanted to show out and we all wanted to outdo each other. But no, not me wanting to outdo him or him wanting to outdo me. It was always a mutual love. But yeah, friendship games for example. Friendship games for example.
If you guys don't know what Friendship Games is, it is the most Filipino event that could ever occur in California at Cal State Fullerton.
At Cal State Fullerton. It's the biggest gathering of Filipinos in the U.S. at one spot as far as collegiate students, all at one spot, and it's a party. It's games, it's music, it's fun, people hooking up, all of that stuff. So
You had to highlight the
think
last message.
if you think about like a Freaknik in Atlanta, that's the Filipino Freaknik
Whoa.
friendship games.
I've never even saw it like that. I was in one of the most recent friendship games like within the past 10 years, but if he was talking about it was the Freaknik of Atlanta, I don't know, or the Freaknik of California.
The Freaknik of California. Well, getting doused with water and dancing and whatever. But well, you kind of did. You kind of did. You kind of did. Now that I think about it, because a lot of these games, you're taking buckets of water and pouring it on the girls, and they're all wet. So that, yeah, it was all in friendship.
What would
But
you
no,
say?
like no, it was a battle though. It was a friendly battle between the radio stations to who can make the biggest impact on the Filipino community at that event. And so they were set up on one side of the field. We're set up on one side of the field. They had live performances. We had live performances. They had their crew. We had our crew. It was that kind of friendly battle. That type of
Yeah,
thing.
I really love it. You know that, I guess, rivalry or friendly battle. I feel like that's something that exists between myself and Good Morning Gabe.
Oh, okay.
I used to work at Real 92.3. Gabe's still at Power 106, and it's like
Hmm.
behind closed doors, me and Gabe could talk our asses off and be like, ha ha ha
Yeah.
ha ha, whatever. But then it's like if we would see each other and I have my real tent, he has his power tent, it's kind of like, all right, we can't be seen talking to each other right now because we need to like really get to work and, just show up. Just show up
Yeah.
and do our thing. And, I never really understood the rivalry like in radio, but I mean, it's good to know that back then it was just all friendly stuff. I feel like a lot of the politics that are thrown out now just kind of, I don't know, it kind of just like ruined it, truthfully.
Well, okay. Let me paraphrase that. Like, so the friendly rivalry was between me and E-Man, but like, it was not friendly between Power and the Beat. No,
Mm,
never. It was never friendly. Like, both stations hated each other. We always wanted to outdo each other. This DJ crew versus our DJ crew, and we always wanted to outdo all of that, man. It was just always a rivalry, period. But I was saying, like me and E-Man, it was always friendly and it was always love between us.
got you, got you. Do you have like that one memorable moment from working in radio?
That one memorable moment?
That one memorable moment, that one you just will not forget.
Huh. Gosh, because there's a lot of memorable moments like that, but I think the first one that comes to mind as you're asking me that question, I think it's my very first summer jam that I performed at, and my very first time on that stage playing some music. And okay, I'm a Filipino kid rocking on a predominantly black audience with music. Now, again, the stereotypes, the stereotypes back then. What's an Asian kid know about black music? What's an Asian kid know about rocking a party? That all that. But man, I'll tell you this. Okay, my memorable moment that I can think of, or that I'm thinking about right now as I'm kind of explaining to you, is that there was one of those groups, whatever, Adina Howard, and then so one of those groups performed. I'm not going to name names because I don't want to put them on blast, but they sucked on their performance. And then us DJs were playing in between the next act as they're setting up for that next performer. And so that act that played, they sucked. The energy was just whack. So like I said, Adina Howard went on. She was dope, rocked the house. All the groups before her rocked the house. DJ Quick, everybody, they all rocked the house. Place was crazy, and then this one act just kills the mood. And then I got to go and play after them because I need to pick up the energy. And so I played some music, killed it. I had that crowd rocking again because they just loved all the music that I was playing, and I was playing it the right way or whatever. But yeah, it was just dope to be in. Just picture this. I'm in front of my turntables. I'm looking at a sea of people. This is Irvine Verizon Amphitheater, or it was Irvine Meadows way back in that day. And I just seeing the rafters go all the way up, and I'm just seeing people up out of their seats, on chairs, people freaking each other, people up there, people in hands in the air, all of that stuff. It's just crazy. And then the roar of each song I was playing, it was louder and louder and louder. And then, boom, I end. Next act is on. Pretty much I brought back the party for that next group where that other group killed it. You know, they killed it.
Damn, bro. And honestly, that's the stuff that I miss when I used to go to concerts, pre-COVID, because
Yeah.
I felt like whenever I would go to a concert, the in between DJ would just it would be boring. There was nothing significant about the DJ for me to be like, "Wait, who was that?" Like,
Hmm.
I think the only time I could really think of was when I think I was at the Millennium Tour, and Yin Yang Twins DJ just freaking went off. They only had a 20-minute set, but I was like, "Yo, this is the type of DJing that I really appreciate." I mean, he
Yeah.
wasn't scratching it up the entire time, but he knew how to mix everything well. He knew how to scratch. He knew how to hype the crowd up when he needed to.
Right.
And unfortunately, I feel like those just are not skills that a lot of people carry. And fortunately, I mean, truthfully, I don't even carry the scratching skills as much as like you or even like a handful of DJs. But I think the idea of a DJ has just like, I don't know if I'm saying this incorrectly, but like the idea of what it is has just kind of deteriorated over the years, from somebody who can rock a crowd to somebody who just plays music.
Well, I don't think that's the case. I think that DJs, I personally, pre COVID, I was still judging battles, I was still attending battles, looking out for the newest talent and all the newest DJs that were coming out. And man, I mean, the talent has elevated year in and year out. And a lot of these, there's a lot of dope DJs out there still up to today. I think the difference is that we were dope DJs in our time, and we wanted to be on radio. We
Mm,
wanted to take our skills and be heard on the air. A lot of these battle DJs that are out now, you're not seeing them go on the radio. They have no desire to be on radio because I don't think radio has the same appeal as it did back then. They could easily do what they're doing on Twitch and have way more love and respect than if they were on the radio. I guess I don't know. I don't know.
yeah.
But it's a different time. I think it was it was an honor and a privilege for us, even if we were a battle DJ or we were into turntablism. And I think that was a prerequisite, I guess, for everybody on the beat because all of us could kill it. Everyone from morning show to afternoon to evening to the weekends, every DJ that was part of that DJ lineup was dope. And the
Yeah.
same thing could be said for Power 106. Every DJ had skills, every DJ knew how to throw down. And yeah, I'm not sure how it is today because I'm not in radio anymore. But
Well,
yeah, I guess I'm
you know,
just going off of what you're telling me.
well, yeah, because like the a lot of the DJs who I see now are, I think we were having this conversation prior, are just like copy and paste. And I think if you can just play a record in smoothly without necessarily being a DJ identified based off of their skill set, I think that's where radio is now. So, for
Mm.
instance, like I remember going to Vegas one time and the DJ was cutting it up and everything and I was like, "Yo, like this is sick. Like who is this guy?" But, people do also have to understand in the number 2 station, the number 2 market for radio, that there's no room for error. And so if you have a lot of DJs who don't practice as much as like you do, but are trying to cut it up on air, that's when you get your program director and you're just like, "Yo, like what exactly are you doing right now? Just play
Yeah.
the record."
And see, I think that's again where the differences were too. Back in the '90s, they allowed us to cut it up on air. Like Mellow D, for instance, he was a battle DJ, some won some world titles, and he was Julio G's everyday DJ, and he would DJ exactly how he battled, and he would cut it up exactly how he battled on the air,
Mm,
and that was dope. They didn't handcuff him. They didn't limit him. They didn't tell him like, "Hey, stop scratching so much." No, they didn't. They just let him freely be him and do what he did, and that was mad love and respect for the DJ at that time. But again, as you're saying, yes, I know that a lot of the program directors now, the PDs, the people that are in charge, they kind of limit DJ. They don't want them to scratch it as much. They want the songs to play a little more. Like they limit the creativity, and therefore, I don't think the best of the best are beating their door down to get on the radio as we were back in the '90s.
I guess is was that limit of creativity as to why you decided to venture out, or was it for another reason?
Um, no, I was I was pretty much forced to let I was let go from radio, and then I was able to make my way into other radio stations, but ownership changes, radio buyouts, different things, just different circumstances always forced the staff to be turned over and changed, or record station to be flipped into a different format. So yeah, I didn't enjoy the fruits of like what E-Man at Power 106 enjoyed. He's celebrating 26 years at Power 106. In my 20 or 15 or 20 years of being in radio, like I was in 4 different stations versus E-Man being at one station the whole time.
Mm, okay. So then after those 4 years, what's the next move for you?
After which 4 years now?
After the 4 years, oh no, after the 20 years of being in radio, what's the next move for you?
Well, I think we're all kind of experiencing that next move right now as we speak, which is we're here on Twitch, right? We're in a pandemic. We're in the middle of a pandemic. We're all kind of made our way into Twitch, and we're kind of forced into it because we don't have any gigs. We can't do any gigs. Places are shut down. All of California is shut down. So, where do we do? At first, we were doing it right off of our phones on IG and Facebook, and that was cool up to a certain point, and we were comfortable and getting, having our fun with it. And then we got shut down. The record labels just kept, the music, RIAA, they just kept shutting down our streams because we were playing all their music. And so we were forced to find a new medium called Twitch. So, long story short, I'm getting at is to answer your question, we're going into this whole live streaming thing, where I feel like we're still brand new at it. We're all pioneering this whole thing. Gamers have been live streaming for years, and the DJ community has only been at it for 6-7 months,
Yeah.
8 months
And
maybe tops.
yeah, I think probably what, March or April of last year,
Yeah.
something like that. When did you officially start on Twitch?
I was late. I was late to the party. I think I started in June, June of June of last year.
And what was that trigger moment that made you say, you know what, I'm just gonna hop on Twitch and I'm gonna start there?
So yeah, again, I was saying we were all on Instagram. We were all doing it off our phones, and us as Snapback as a crew, we were very comfortable doing our lunch tables and then we were doing night times and all of that. But yeah, the cutoffs was just annoying, and every guest we had to prep them like, "Yo, don't play a song over 60 seconds, or else you're gonna get cut off. You got a quick mix. You got a quick mix. Quick mixing
Jesus.
wasn't in everyone's repertoire, so it got harder and harder and harder. But B Stang was forcing the crew to like, "Hey, I'm on this Twitch thing. You guys got to check it out. It's dope. It's really dope." And a lot of us were very hesitant. We were very hesitant to get onto to Twitch, but then slowly but surely, like Gene Hove was one of those guys in the crew that just figured it out. It was so easy for him, and he figured out the whole technical part of it, and he got, he got like a lot of people up and running, and then I think then we came around and started really jumping on as a crew.
Dang. And I mean, during this time, I've had conversations with a whole bunch of people about. I mean, I've had this conversation specifically with DJ Mel SF, but like, how do you see Twitch kind of as being the new radio?
Yeah, we were talking about this just before we got started. I personally think Twitch is like the the replacement of radio. Radio's not going anywhere. It's gonna be there, but I don't think that it's just gonna be passive listening in the car. But Twitch, man, it's I mean, you could take Twitch in the car with you. I have friends telling me they're in their Tesla, watching me as they're driving at lunchtime or whatever. I have friends telling me they're working, they got their kids doing homeschooling, and they got me on their big TV while while they're working and schooling their kids. So I think like people are just now listening and actively getting involved. But I think what makes it dope is that you get to interact with the personalities. So like you, Nico Blitz, the Body Roll King. They say, "Okay, Nico, I want you to body roll right now." And they put all your body roll emotes. Next thing
Yeah.
you know, you're changing to your scene, and then you're doing all your body roll stuff. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
it's that interactivity that makes Twitch so dope. And then like every DJ. So to answer your question again, like yes, I think Twitch is kind of replacing radio in that fashion, because back in the day you used to have specialty shows. If you wanted reggae, you'd listen to a reggae show. You wanted, Cypress Hill and talking about blunts and all that stuff. They had their specialty show. You want the real hip hop, you'd go to the Wake Up Show or Friday Night Flavors. So there were specialty shows, and then those personalities carried those specialty shows. In today's radio, it's just so programmed. It's programmed out that where you don't have any specialty shows. So where's all these specialty shows? The specialty shows are now on Twitch. This is where it's at, man. Like, this is where you get your specialty shows. This is where you get your interaction. This is where you get to communicate and connect with certain personalities on a one-to-one level. It's what radio was back in the 90s for me. That's
Mm.
the same feeling I get.
And going back to the whole body roll thing, because I know you big me up about that like the entire time. But you know where I actually got that idea from? I was actually inspired by your stream.
What?
Yeah,
The
because
body
I was
roll? You came from my stream?
I was thinking to myself like, how do I make this chat room interactive with emotes? And so I walked into your stream one time, and this is when I first started out, and you're like, ladies representing the chat, fellas representing the chat, and I'm like, okay, what's gonna happen? And you literally have fellas emotes and ladies emotes. I'm like, whoa, that is crazy. And you get the immediate interaction off of the audience. And to me, I was like, yo, like, I don't know if you know Ice, but I'd be taking notes whenever I'm in your stream.
What?
I take a lot of notes watching your stream, bro.
Ah, thanks.
And I feel like, Twitch is also that place to really inspire not only other DJs, but people who want to get into DJing, people who just want to start to get creative with whatever interest that they have going on.
Yeah. Hey, well, as you're saying that, I'm seeing the chat room fly with ladies and fellas. Right now, I want you guys to put body roll emotes in the chat so Nico Blitz can get up and do some body rolls for you.
Oh
Light up the
my
chat room with some body rolls, everybody. Light it up, y'all, and Nico Blitz is gonna rock some body rolls for you right now.
dang. All right.
There it is. There it is. You see that instant, that interaction right there? There it is. There's the body roll king. He's doing it. The body roll.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
you guys heard it first, man. Icy Ice will call me the body roll king every single time, and I'm like, "Ooh, I didn't say it. Icy Ice said it, bro."
I don't see anyone doing it nearly as much as you, and I don't see anyone doing it as fly as you. So you are the body roll king in my book, man.
Have you had like, have you had that one Twitch stream that just felt overpowering for like you just never imagined this type of stuff could happen on Twitch?
Rephrase that question for me again. Like,
So, amongst your ever since what June or July when you did start on Twitch, did you ever have that one stream that was just like so inspiring to the point where you said, "Wow, I never thought I would get this feeling from an app. I never thought I would get this feeling from DJing on Twitch."
uh, I won't say there was one stream. I will say that just Twitch as an app, period, and then the ability to see my favorite DJs all up and down, like they're live, this person's live, this person's live, or like at the same time, 7 of them are all live at the same time, and me be able to jump into each room and see my favorite DJs rock. That was amazing in itself. Now, back pre-COVID, you know, I'm a very social person. I love to be in the mix. I love to just know what's up. I love to go visit spots. I love to just go visit spots, hang out, see the folks, all of that, right? To be able to go see a DJ rock, you have to hop in that car, you have to make that drive, you have to go park, pay for parking, walk out into the club, fall in line. If you're lucky, you're on that guest list. Boom, you get in the guest list line, you get in, and then you're standing around. You got to buy a couple drinks because you're waiting around till that DJ gets on, and then you get to watch them.
Mm.
Today, you wake up, at least one of your favorite DJs is on at all times, man, all times. And
Yeah.
like I said, like sometimes 10 of them are all on at the same time. But yeah, to be able to jump from Jazzy Jeff to Shortcut, and from Shortcut to Craze, and then next thing you know, there's a special stream with A-Track performing. You know, like it's overwhelming how much dope talent is on here, and then to find a lot of dope DJs that you've never heard in your life, but they're killing it, man. They're just killing it. It's inspiring, and it's inspiration at your fingertips at all times. I mean, for someone that lived through my era and then up to COVID and all the things that we had to experience, to have this kind of app and to have like a 24-hour DJ party at all times, that's a dream come true right there, and that's mind blowing in itself.
Well, that's why, I think it goes back to why you guys do this in the first place. I mean, if you look at Snapback, you guys have a new person on like it seems like every single day. And to me, I'm
Yes.
just like, yo, like I want to figure out who Snapback is like putting on right now because, truthfully, like your guys' word is it means so much to this community. So when you guys have somebody on, I'm like, yo, like I really got to be on the lookout for them. And to me, it that is just beyond DJing. That is community, and that is possibly showing a new bit of inspiration to somebody who is just watching from the other side of the screen.
Yeah. We were very fortunate. We were very fortunate to have such a good community of friends that followed us and supported us in our switch to Instagram, to Facebook, to Twitch. It was all they were always having our back. So yeah, much love to our Snapback community, all our moderators, all our people, our day ones that were with us through and through since March. Like it's so much love in our community. We can't even put into words how much that means to us. But yeah, it goes back to us doing clubs as Snapback for 7-8 years as a crew. We were doing North Hollywood, Long Beach on a weekly, not once a month or not once a quarter. It was weekly. And same thing. We had guest DJs always coming in. And anytime we knew someone dope was coming into Los Angeles, we made a point to try and get that person to perform at Snapback. And then so the same things that made us Snapback as a in real life club, we took all of those same things and brought it to social media and then onto Twitch. And our day ones have been super supportive and loving to us. And I think that's, if anything, if there's one thing I can point out, Snapback versus any other channel, I think our community is like bar none, man. Like our community is super dope and super loving and supporting. And I think we're just super fortunate to have the day ones and the community around us like the way they do.
Well, huge shout out to J Love Jen because she plugs you and Snapback literally everywhere she goes.
Aw, thanks, Jen. Ube Jen in the house. WTA all day, every day.
Ube Jen. So if we go back to the 90s and you guys just simply wanted to be the best. Now we're in 2021. You guys obviously have Snapback. You still do what you do on a very frequent basis. What's all of this for now?
Well, good question. I think us as Snapback, it's ultimately an outlet for us. It's it's us giving to the community and giving back to the DJ culture. Like we don't just put on dope DJs, we put on guys that are just starting out, guys that are intermediate, guys that have been around for a few years but a lot of people don't really know about. But yeah, of course, we try and get the best of the best. So you'll put your shortcuts up against some DJs that people don't really know about, and it's dope because you're seeing the best of the best, and then you're seeing someone that you're discovering, and it's just dope both ways. So I think that's one of our things is we're giving back, and then us as a crew also. Like in this pandemic, we were looking and talking amongst ourselves and saying, what can we do other than just do these streams? And so the fundraising aspect came into effect, and working with No Kids Hungry, or working with different organizations to help raise funds to make a difference. That was important to us. And yeah, I'm proud to say, us as Snapback crew, we've raised over $30,000 in fundraising over Twitch, over a couple of events, and
Man,
it's been amazing.
now that is insane. Now that's everything that Snapback wants to do and everything that Snapback stands for. But what about you, Ice? What are you doing
What
all this for?
what am I doing this all for?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, number one, I do it because I love the craft. I do it because I love DJing, and this is my creative outlet. I can't do gigs, I can't do events, I can't travel. So this is the next best thing, is performing in front of this camera and rocking for the people. But I guess if you want to take it even one step further, I do it for my family. I do it for my wife, my kids, all of that, because this is one of the ways I also earn income. This is one of the only ways I'm able to market and promote myself and let people know that I'm still here. Versus, I could easily just be sitting on the couch, not doing anything, and waiting till this whole pandemic runs. But then, no, that's not me. I think this pandemic forced me. It kind of lit my fire to reinvent myself, recreate me as a person, me recreate myself as a DJ, and do something new and fun. And I see my man Philip Imbuito in here. He's a record promoter. That same thing. He could be sitting on the couch and waiting till this whole pandemic goes, but no, he's on Twitch, networking with every DJ across the board, pushing his records, letting everyone know about 88 Rising and all the projects that he's got going, and all his work with Anderson .Paak, all of that stuff. So same type of thing, man. It's I think all of us. It's a fresh start. It's a ground zero beginning for all of us. All of us as DJs, all of us as streamers, all of us as podcast interviewers, all of that. Like, it's just a ground zero beginning that we're all pioneering at the same time.
So what's a piece of advice that you would give somebody who is on the fence about streaming?
I encourage it, but you can't change a person if they don't want to change. You know what I mean? You can keep on encouraging, you can keep on saying how dope something is, but until, like, you get a brand new bike, you tell them all the dope features of this bike. You tell them how smooth this bike is. You could go over bumps, and you could go off-roading, and you could go on sidewalks, and it's just a super comfortable bike. But until that person wants to ride the bike, ain't no getting that person on the bike. But I always encourage everybody to get on the live streaming, because the more the DJ community is on live streaming, the bigger our audience and our community will get. You imagine, like, there's a lot of DJs on right now, but I don't think we've even hit half of the DJ community. Not even half is on Twitch at this moment in time. But you imagine if we got over half, or even more, to closer to 100% of everybody streaming, all their fans and all their friends and all their communities coming onto Twitch, I think we would overtake the gaming community if everybody would get on. But I don't think everyone's seeing it that way. The gamers had 8, 10, 12, whatever years ahead of us.
Yeah, that's right.
And they have hundreds of millions of followers in the gaming community. And then on the Twitch side, I don't know. Last time I checked, it was in the tens, if even that, like 10 million people on the Twitch music side. So we have so much room for growth. If all the DJs would get on.
Yeah.
But
no,
I don't think people see it that way.
No, and I hear you, Ice. I mean, I've been encouraging people like these past couple of months, but I guess, like, when people do decide to ride that bike, they will ride that bike. And
exactly.
I'm only laughing because I actually got hit while riding a bike.
Did you?
In June or July, yeah, I got hit by a car.
So what? You're just cruising down the street and the car just sideswiped you, or what?
Basically, you should have seen the damage I did to the car.
Dang.
But
so you body rolled the hell out of that car, huh?
I rolled the hell out of that car, man. Look, I walked up and I said, "Ladies, fellas," and I was looking at the totally wrong sex. Ice.
Damn. The body roll king.
I think that's probably what influenced the body rolls, honestly. But throughout all your time DJing, is there anything that you wish that you did differently?
Do I wish that I did differently? I wish a lot of this technology and all of this stuff came way earlier.
Well, you have no control over that.
What's that?
Well, you had no control over that.
I had no control over that. I wish the internet, I wish streaming, I wish all of these things were available to us. We didn't have any of this, man. It came years and years later. But I think because we didn't have that, we had to get way more creative, resourceful, and be able to make things happen in different ways. And then even now in today's time, now that we do have all these technologies, just like live streaming, yeah, a lot of us guys that have been around for a long time, we're jumping on and we're trying to recreate things in new ways and do things differently or try and infuse a lot of the things that we did coming up into this new technology and this new platform. So I think it's dope. But yeah, if there was one thing I wish that could change is we had all this technology way earlier. That's probably the one thing I wish we could change.
Right. Well, guys, at this time, I do want to open up the floor if you guys have any questions for the legendary DJ Icy Ice. I do want to go through a round of like super quick questions for you, Ice.
Okay.
Um, what is your go-to '90s record?
Oh man, go to '90s record.
'90s record. Because I understand that go-to record is such a wide spectrum, so I had to
It
cut it
is
down.
such a wide spectrum record because you have your go-to club records, your go-to records that you feel in when you're just alone, or I don't know. A lot of Tribe Called Quest is a lot of that is my go-tos. Whether I'm rocking at a club or whether I'm just rocking on a live stream, man, if you listen to my sets, I always play Tribe somewhere in my sets. So yeah,
Mm.
go to record is Tribe Called Quest.
My girlfriend actually said, not a question, but my dad is hella jealous of your record collection. LOL.
Hey dad, what's up? What's up, pops?
Ice, if you were to recommend your favorite up and coming streamers right now, who would they be?
Hmm. So up and coming meaning younger
Meaning like,
streamers, or are you talking about up
or
and
like,
coming meaning they're just brand new to Twitch, or what
yeah,
kind of up and coming are you
yeah,
talking about?
brand new to Twitch, couple hundred followers here and there.
Man, I'll be honest, like that DJ Mia Moore from London. I mean, she is so young. She's only like 17, but damn, her music knowledge is like on point, and the way she rocks it is on point. So I mean, she has to be one of those DJs that I'm like very impressed with because of just her age and her music knowledge and all of that. But I think I hear her mom, her dad, they had a lot to do with that music knowledge, and props to the parents for teaching her all that music.
Amen, amen. Well, Good Morning Gabe is asking, what's the craziest party Icy Ice has ever DJ'd?
So crazy as in lit, crazy as in hype, crazy as in like crazy crazy.
Let's go crazy, crazy. I like crazy, crazy.
Well, I'll just without going into too much detail, I've DJ'd several vivid films parties, specifically Halloween ones. So you already know. And I've seen things happening at that party that I have not seen anywhere else. So vivid, if you know vivid, you know vivid.
If you know, you know.
If you know, you
Um,
know.
Philip and Guido, got any Prince vinyl, DJ Icy Ice? Just wondering.
Oh yeah, one whole covey is all Prince over here. Yeah, definitely. You want me to pull some out, Prince, Mr. Baby Prince? I got you.
Yeah, pull out a Prince record. Let's see what you got.
Let's see. All right.
He just pulled out a random stack.
Here you go. Here's some. Well, this is Sheila E. This is the time. But this is
Oh my
Prince
God.
1999. Prince 1999. Take Me With You 12-inch. Here you go, Prince.
Jesus Christ.
Raspberry Beret. This is Nasty Girl. And then this is When Doves Cry right here, 12-inch European
Oh my
press.
God, man.
And then Yeah, everything like let's work 12-inch record. And this is with and back in this time, man, a 12-inch, you know, a song nowadays is like 3 minutes is already long. 4 minutes is pushing it. This one right here, just one side, the 12-inch is 8 minutes for one song, 10 minutes for the remix. But yeah, I mean, this is all Prince. This is all Prince.
Jesus
Every
Christ,
single
man. I love how you just pulled a random stack and you already knew what you were getting.
everything. Yeah. Now I know where my
Uh,
records are at. Yeah. So
what is your standing after set McDonald's order was before pandemic times?
what was what?
DJ Miss Vell is asking what his standing after set McDonald's order was before pandemic times. Oh, what was your McDonald's order after an in real life set?
Oh, so after the club, like, what's my McDonald's order?
I believe so.
Well, my go-to McDonald's is quarter pounder. I love quarter pounders, so I get a quarter pounder, fries, and a shake.
There we go. Well, Icy Ice, thank you so much once again for being the first guest for the record breaking podcast. I really appreciate you, man.
And I appreciate you having me, Mr. Nico Blitz Body Roll King.
No, I
This
always
was dope.
forget. I always forget to ask this question, but how do you even come up with the name Icy Ice?
Well, long story short, my name is Isaiah, and Ice. They would always call me short for Ice for Isaiah. And back when I was in middle school and I was inspired by going to that dance and I was trying to think of that name, I was originally going to call myself Icy I, as in Icy Isaiah. But the person that sat in front of me, this girl named Kathy, she told me, why don't you just change it to Ice? It just sounds cooler. And back at that time, it was very common for just DJs, b-boys, anyone hip hop to double up their names. So Teddy Ted, Felly Fell, whatever. So
Gotcha.
he said
Gotcha.
Icy Ice. So boom, I was like, I like the ring of that, and that's what we went with.
I like it, man. I love it. Well, there you go, everybody. DJ Icy Ice in a nutshell on the Record Breaking Podcast. Thank you guys so much. I'm not entirely sure when we're going to have the next Record Breaking Podcast. All I know is we are actually going to have DJ Mia Moore.
Nice.
So be on the lookout for that. DJ Mia Moore, 17-year-old DJ from the UK. And wait, Good Morning Gabe has one more question.
One more question. All right.
Come on, Gabe. Come on, Gabe. Well, let's see what Gabe has to say.
Hey, well, real quick, shout out to Chrissy Forms in the house. Of course, shout out to J Love Jen and the homie Big Rob in here, Kyle Nike in here, my man Philip and Buito is in here. Everybody's up in here, man. This is dope.
Yo. Good morning, Gabe. This is the last question. How did you get to DJ on the debut? The Filipino classic. The classic.
Okay, so the debut, man. Okay, so a friend of mine, his name is Joe Braza. He was neighbors with the guy that was producing the whole debut, and John Castro, the guy that wrote the debut, he was going to school at Cal State Long Beach, where my ex girlfriend was going to school at, and so I had that connection with John Castro through being part of Long Beach Pack and all of that, and then I had the connection to the producer through my man Joe Braza, and so we all came together when they were going around with the idea and the concept. They were going to Filipino clubs, talking to the Filipino clubs, saying, "Hey, can you help support this movie? Can you help put in some money or help fundraise so then we could put out the first American Filipino film called The Debut?" And so that's how it all started. But that went on for years. it went on for years because they didn't have no GoFundMe, they didn't have any kind of fundraising like that, and it was very difficult to do any kind of fundraising to for a film. And so fast forward several years later, they finally get the funding, and they get one of the not major label movie production houses to get behind it, but a small one to get behind it. And so, with very minimal budget, with very everything, they put together the debut. And of course, the debut was about a debut, and they needed a DJ. So when they thought of DJ, they brought me into it, and then I pulled E-Man into the mix to DJ along with me. But then they said, "Oh, there's a speaking role in the DJ part. Which one do you want to speak?" And at that time, it was between me and E-Man. They chose me to have those few lines of speaking in the debut, and then they had E-Man doing all the cuts and everything. So that's how we were able to DJ. But we did not get paid. They said, "Oh, if we feature your Legend Entertainment banner and you put up all your equipment and all of that, you're going to be part of a heritage film, and everyone will know Legend from here on out because you're part of the debut." I'm like,
It's free promo.
"Okay, cool."
Hey, man, that's what happens. I
That's
think
what
we have.
happens. But when they finally did release in theaters, and they were able to, they didn't do like a nationwide release like we have nowadays. We didn't have that kind of budget back then. So again, like the nightclubs, the struggle of nightclubs, the struggle of getting on radio, it was the same type of struggle for a little film called The Debut, full of brown people, to make it onto the big screen. And so what did they do? They premiered it in each city, but the cast and the producers and the writers, everybody would go to Hawaii, and they would stay over there and do the whole promotion and just premiere it for a week. And then they would take the film over to San Diego, produce it, do it for a week. And then they take it up to the Bay Area and just show it for a week there. And then boom, they take it to New York, and then to Houston and to Chicago, and that was the struggle that the debut went through to make enough money to premiere it in these theaters. But when every time they premiered in each city, they sold out. They had rave reviews. It's just that no production company or no distribution company would pick it up to distribute it nationwide all at the same time. So they had to do it grassroots style. So
And
that's the story of the debut.
all I'm saying is, if you're Filipino and you have not watched the debut, what are you doing?
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, the debut, and then shoot, Khalees did a whole knockoff on one of her music videos with Disclosure. They did a whole thing with Dante Bosco at the very end of this video. So yeah, you guys got to check that out at the very least. If you haven't
Yeah,
seen Debut, check out the music video. It's pretty much mocking what the debut was.
I think the last question we have about your video vixen moves, so to speak. Uh, ask Ice how he got in the Bebo music video. Were you in that?
Oh man.
I haven't watched that video in a while.
Well, so there's two. There's two versions of the Bebop music video. So there's the mainstream one, which is it's almost kind of like the whole inspiration for that was Dr. Dre Nothing But a G thing. So it was filmed at the same exact park. It was filmed with the same intent. Instead of lowriders, it was like pretty much the rice rockets and the import cars, pretty much, right? The models, all of that. So that was the inspiration for video one. Video two was more of the historical Filipino, and they were telling the story of the Filipinos, Manongs and Manongs out there in Stockton that went through all of that. And then we were kind of depicting the Manongs working in the fields, all of that. So anyways, long story short, Apple Diab asked me to be part of this video, but he wanted me in the more historical one versus the more mainstream one. So the mainstream one is what you'll see in YouTube and all of that. The historical one, it's hidden. It's buried somewhere in YouTube. So check it
Well,
out.
everybody make sure you check that out. And once again, thank you so much, Icys, for joining us on the first record breaking podcast. We are actually going to raid into another Filipino. She goes by Meow Music. Dope
Oh, Meow
Filipino,
Music. All right,
yeah,
word.
dope Filipino DJ, like literally in the Philippines. So
Literally in the Philippines.
literally.
Yeah.
So everybody, show her some love, and thank you once again, Ice, for all your time and all your love and all your energy. We really appreciate it here, bro.
Hey, appreciate you having me, and appreciate everybody that's been hanging out and listening, and then to all of you guys that are listening to this at a later time, man. Much love, respect, peace. Appreciate you guys.